Get ready with me while I share things I wish more people knew about complex trauma. Complex trauma is actually not in the DSM, so it's not a formally recognized So it's not a formally recognized diagnosis, and that's a huge miss in our industry. I'm a therapist, by the way. I would say most people don't have the single incident experience of trauma. They have multiple traumas that have built on one another, like death by a thousand cuts. Complex trauma actually accounts for multiple different interpersonal repeat instances of feeling like your safety was physically, mentally, sexually, etc., compromised. That is a state that a lot of people grow up in if they have abusive parents or if they've been in multiple abusive relationships. If you have experienced sexual trauma, you're looking for community, I run sexual trauma groups on Wednesday nights for women in the state of New York and in Florida. I would love to have you enter into our space if you're looking for that type of support. Anyway, another thing I wish more people knew is how complex trauma can sometimes present. A lot of the time I see misdiagnoses of borderline personality disorder because people have been in multiple abusive, explosive relationships. I tend to look at any diagnosis from a trauma-informed lens, so it's not really that interesting to me what previous diagnosis was. I mostly want to know what happened to you, how often did it happen, what were the caregivers like in your life, and what have your relationships been like? And then we can assess for the cumulative impact of that. I always say that trauma is not defined by what happened to you necessarily, but how it impacts you in the day-to-day. Something else I want people to know is that healing is not linear, nor is it clear-cut or the same for any given person. Every single person is going to be completely different, and therefore their treatment is going to be completely different based off of what they're bringing in. Finally, the last thing I want to talk about with complex trauma is the concept of dissociative memory loss. I could do a whole video on just this concept, but basically a lot of people think that what happened to them didn't happen or it wasn't so bad because their brain has forced them to forget that it happened. And that couples up with the experience of self-blame that a lot of people who've experienced complex trauma feel. So the combination of memory loss and then self-blame often leads people to try to convince themselves that what happened to them didn't happen, or if they don't have memory that works like a video camera, that they didn't experience what they experienced. And that's been some of the most challenging but also rewarding work as a therapist, to work through the idea that you can know that something happened to you in your bones and you can know that something was not okay without being able to give me every single detail. I believe your story based off of the way that your body is responding, not necessarily based off of what you are able to tell me. I always say something like, why would your brain make that up? Or why would your body be responding in this way if nothing happened to you? A little something on complex trauma. I really love working with clients who have experienced this and being able to help them push through some of these symptoms. And again, if you want to join my group, please let me know.